Usually this time of year I do my summer beauty favorites, but I'm going to do something a little different. I'm actually going to do a get ready with me summer look and tell you the story about my crazy neighbors.
Oy vey.
Before I start this whole look, I just want to have this little disclaimer that I dermaplaned and I must have had dirty fingers and I got like these little pimple thingies, so my skin doesn't look that good without anything on it. And I just got over a bad chest cold, so my nose is peeling a little bit and I may cough here and there, so excuse me. I'm just a mess. I have been working so much. It's a busy time of year for my family. I need to do my hair, everything. That's why it's up. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop putting myself down, just tell you what I'm going to be doing. I am going to be using the WOOSH Fold Out Face for today's look because I figured it's a good item to use for this time of year because a lot of people will be traveling. Has everything that you need, pretty much. Anything else, I'll tell you what I'm using, but this just really has everything. I love it. The quality is great. They're cruelty-free. And they just came out with a new product, which is called Preface. And it is a primer. But before I put that primer on, I have really bad pores, as you could see. So I just discovered something from Maybelline called Baby Skin, and all I do is before I put on the primer, because the primer helps the makeup stay, and I do love this primer. It's not greasy, it's not drying. I just have really bad pores that, they come through no matter what primer or what makeup I use. I always have to powder these areas. It's just something that started like when I was about 48. But anyway, today's story, while that's setting in, is about my ex-crazy neighbors. Before my husband and I got our house that you see us filming, we lived in Queens, New York in Forest Hills, and we rented the top floor of a house. It was in a great area, Forest Hills Gardens, and it was right across the street from the Forest Hills Tennis Stadium, which now has a lot of concerts. We actually loved that. Our front window faced the backstage area, so I got to see when these musical artists would come, and they would come in through the back or when they left through the back. And it was great because during sound checks, I remember one in particular, I would hear them all. The Who was having a sound check and Ed Sheeran showed up in the back, and the guard was like giving him a hard time, and here I was through the window waving with Sammy barking her head off as usual, and he waved back, and it was just like, it was cool. It was a cool place to live. I loved sitting in my yard listening to the music. It was over by like 10, 11 o'clock. It wasn't a nuisance to me. To some people it was. To us, we loved it. But anyway, I should have known that there would be problems in this house because the rent really wasn't that bad, but it was perfect for us because I have two stepchildren, as you know, and we were living in my studio that I had bought before I got married, and it just wasn't enough space. So I'm going to now use this Preface primer. So anyway, we moved in, and there were some issues in the beginning, like nothing major. There was some raccoons in the house and in the roof, but nothing that the landlord didn't take care of. She was very nice. She was Jewish and religious. I'm Jewish, so you know. So I understood certain things, and she rented to a Jewish family below us. They had the first two floors. We lived in the top floor. Well, I realized why the rent was so cheap, because she could not keep some of the tenants that were there. I found out later, and I know why. So the first thing that happened that clued me in was I would get my electric bill mailed to me then. This was 2011, so I was still doing paper more or less. And one day I got my bill and I noticed that the envelope was open. But you could tell it wasn't like it just like lifted a little bit. It was like someone actually opened it. So on it was a note, written by my downstairs neighbor from the father, and he wrote, "This was opened. I took a look at it and I wanted to talk to you about your electric bill." First of all, I said to myself, no, it wasn't open. You opened it. And the reason why he opened it was that he had some kind of electric company. I don't know. It was some crazy crap. And, you know, I guess he wanted me to use his company because he probably got a kickback or something. I don't know. And that was like my first tip off. But I basically said no. Before I continue, I am also going to be using the WOOSH brush set. This has everything you need for your eyes, for contour, for whatever. I'll explain as I go. So before I put the foundation on, I'm actually going to start with my eyes. What they don't have is an eye primer. I'm going to use the Urban Decay eye primer. Maybe they'll make that next to go along with the regular primer. Maybe I can use those on my lids. I don't know. Wish, if you're watching, let me know. But I'm just going to use this. This is my fave. This is my go-to. As time went on, we realized that they weren't really clean people, and they weren't. They didn't have any sense of how loud noise was. And I'm not talking like, listen, you live in New York City, you know there's going to be noise. I'm talking about banging out of nowhere at 2 in the morning. So let's say you're sleeping. It's not like a party that's ongoing or a train that you know it's going to come. It could be dead silent, and then all of a sudden there'll be a bang. Like I don't know what they were doing. And I found out later it was mostly their son. He had issues, I guess, with drugs. I don't know. He seemed like a nice boy, and I remember one day that in the back he was like throwing garbage with his fetish, just throwing garbage. So I went to the father, I said, listen, your son is like basically under my window and throwing garbage in the yard. We have raccoons, whatever, like just, you know. And he goes, oh, you have kids, right? And whatever, I have stepkids, same thing. And I said, yeah. And he's like, well, you know, kids just do things. His son was like 17. And at the time, I think my kids were about, I don't know, in their preteens, whatever. And I said, no, because I didn't raise my children to throw garbage out the window. Who says that's okay? Your job is you're supposed to reprimand your kids for doing stuff like that. You just don't say, oh, that's just kids being kids. Maybe when they're 5, not when they're 17, right? And I was like, no, basically my kids aren't animals. I shouldn't even say animals because I love animals. No, they're not, you know, inconsiderate, right? So that was like just some of the stuff that would happen, and you know, it was just pretty much annoying. All right, let's go back to the makeup. So let's start with our eyes. So I am going to go in with, it might be a little too blown out. I have a hard time sometimes with this lighting, but I'm gonna go into the base shade, and I'm just gonna put that on my lid with the, and that is like this. You know, because they were religious, they couldn't turn lights on and off from Friday night to Saturday night. And I respected that. They couldn't turn off the oven lights, whatever. And during the summer, early summer months like now, my husband's really busy at work, and they knew I was Jewish. I should have lied and told them I was half, but I didn't. And there was one night I was home alone with Sammy, and I don't even know if John was coming home. I think he was sleeping at his parents' house because he was working late. I did the base, so now I am going to go in with the contour shade right here. First I'm gonna get the brush. But anyway, so one night he came up the steps, and he kind of can't ask you to do it. They kind of have to hint, so it was like I had to play like a guessing game, like Inspector Gadget, like what is he trying to say? But he wanted me not to shut off the light, to shut off the oven. Okay, so in my head, I'm like, I'm getting my shoes on. I'm like, I gotta shut this oven off. They wouldn't let me. They said it was against their religion. I said, I don't care, I'm not religious. But they were like, no, it would be bad for them to let someone who's Jewish turn off something on the night of Sabbath. Okay. So I basically, me and my dog have to worry about the house burning down because you were forgetful, which happened a lot. You know, my aunt is very religious. She lives in Israel, and she told me if there's like an emergency, something like that, like something that's a matter of life and death, it's okay. You know, maybe not you, or maybe to ask the other person if the other person's okay with it, but I just thought that was a little ridiculous, and thank God it didn't burn down. There was a man who used to fix around the house. Him and I got really close. He was going through a divorce, and he knew John was divorced and, you know, whatever, and had 2 kids, and we used to talk a lot. And he told me one day, he goes, I'm just going to tell you, you know, I think you should move because they burn candles and they burn them by areas with a lot of clothes in the basement, and, you know, you got to really be careful. They're going to burn this house down. But at the time, I was like, yeah. You know, I really didn't, I don't know. I didn't think that much of it until this story, which I'm going to go into in a second, because what I'm going to do is take this, like, kind of highlighting shade and put it on my upper brow. And I'm going to do that with the other end. So anyway, I was like, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. So one night, I hear the fire alarm go off in the middle of the night. So before I continue with that, I am now going to go in with this like blackish shade, and I am going to line my eyes. So I'm going to wipe off the end that I used the highlighter with, which is kind of like angled. And then I'm going to wet it, and I'm going to go in there, and I have to use my magnifying mirror because I'm blind. And I'm going to basically just line my eye with it on the angle. And my phone should not be on. I have it on airplane mode. Oh, that's a reminder. Anyway, so I hear it go off, and I'm thinking that it's hours. And I think that I left the oven on at this point. So I'm listening, and I realize it's coming from downstairs. And I'm like, holy crap, it happened. The house is on fire. So we bang and we bang, because we have like this connected door towards the back of the apartment. We're in the top. That is actually locked on their end. So if we did have to get out, we couldn't, because they left it locked. They thought we were going to steal something from them. I don't know what, because when I finally went down there, I saw they didn't have much. Well, I'm not judging them, but I don't know why they locked it. So we're thinking, you know, how do they not hear this? Are they not home? But we saw that they were home. We saw the cars were there. It wasn't a Friday night. It was like a Tuesday or something. And I'm saying to myself, how can they not hear? How can they, you know, we're banging. And you see my husband. He's the big guy. He's got a lot of muscle. He's banging on the floor. He's banging on the door. He runs outside. He bangs on their front door. Bangs, bangs, bang. No answer, like nothing. And then there was like another door between the first and second floor we had access to that was locked, and he's banging on that. He's banging on every door, every wall possible. And they are not like stirring. So John tells me, grab Sammy. Here's the key to the car, because he only had his one car then. And he's like, go downstairs and go sit in that car. So I go downstairs, and I'm sitting in the, you know, I go to sit in the car, and I hear him banging again, and now there's smoke coming out. So my husband called the fire department. My husband used to be a volunteer firefighter. So he's like, I'm calling the fire department. So he calls, they come. I watch from the car as they knock on their door. Like they didn't hear the fire truck. It's like, you know, you can hear the fire truck blocks away. This is New York City. And the husband comes down. You see the daughter coming down there like what? Like what's going on? And he's like, you don't smell, there's smoke, you don't hear your alarm? Like, how did they not hear the alarm? I don't understand. There was something wrong with them. So the fire department goes in, and it ends up that the mother had left food in the oven and forgot about it, and it was burning. I don't know what time she started cooking, because it was like 2, 3 in the morning. I don't know. So, you know, they made like, oh, it's not a big deal. What's the big deal? So the firemen come out. You know, my husband was talking to them. The fireman said to us, you should consider moving. That was the second time I heard this. And we're like, wow. He's like, they have clothing like drying like by the boiler, and it's so close and it's so hot. And it was a very, very old house. Like the basement had a prayer room in it. It was so old that some of the tree roots were coming out from one of the rooms. Like I'll insert some video here of a video I did actually with my stepdaughter. I think after they left about a month later or two, and we did a video, and you can see like what it looked like. It was, run down, but I'm not judging the landlord. She wasn't putting money into it. The basement was the basement. It just had like a washer and dryer and, was storage, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, he said we should move. I just want to say there is nothing to use for my eyebrows, and I want to do my eyebrows, so I have the Anastasia eyebrow powder. My husband at the time was just like, oh, it's not a big deal. I wanted to move. I looked around, but I couldn't really find anything, and things were better for a while. And there were no like smoke incidents, but just like a lot of like screwy things and things that she said that like really got on my nerves. Like the mother, she had said to me once, you're Jewish, right? I'm half Israeli, half Polish, so I'm half what they call Sephardic, half Ashkenazi, which is kind of rare. Wasn't in the past, but it is now. And she like made like little digs at me that, do I celebrate certain holidays? And I said, yeah, we do this. She goes, do you do this whole thing, like the whole ritual? I'm like, yeah, we do. She goes, I'm surprised that your Israeli side does it. In other words, like, she looked down on Israelis, darker people, compared to Ashkenazis, which is more like Eastern European. That was the first time I ever came in contact with someone who was like that, and I found it very offensive, and I felt like it was all starting to make sense, like they thought that they were better than us, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I read it wrong. Maybe they're watching this. I don't know. But, I think it was kind of messed up. That really hurt my feelings. Like, I went upstairs and I was, like, mad and almost crying. Like, what did she just say? Like, did she just put down, like, my mother's side of the family without me realizing it? Like, that was kind of messed up to say. But I let it go. You can't choose your neighbors. You can't. Even if you have a house. You can't, right? Oh. Anyway, let me check this out. Because guys, I can't. I'm blind. Like, my eyesight's getting worse and worse. I'm sure looking at my phone is not helping. Hope this isn't a disaster. Okay, so that's my eyebrows. Oh, and by the way, I'm using this e.l.f. excuse me, brush. It has the angle on one side and it has like the spoolie thing, and I love it. I really love it, and their price point is great, and they're another cruelty-free company. So now I'm going to go in with the Perfectors, which you basically go in and, oh my God, this is so blown out. This is why I don't do it often, but sometimes you need a little change, right? I haven't done any food videos because we've been so busy. And I don't want to keep pimping product, but I guess I will be, because these will be affiliate links. Everything is an affiliate link nowadays, but like, I really like this stuff. I've been working with WOOSH for like almost 3 years. I love them. They have great stuff. I'm going in with their Perfector Brush. Gosh, it's so blown out. I don't even have it on like a high thing. I don't know. So the Perfector Brush. So I'm going to go in with the lighter shade and just go in and fix all my imperfections, which basically is my whole face right now. I can't believe those little bumps I got. I just ordered a ointment for it, because supposedly it's not like pimples, it's just like bacteria. So I'm just gonna go in, and I have a little dark spot right here. So the next crazy neighbor incident was one day, John was at work, of course. It seemed like a lot of stuff happened when he was at work. I know that looks very light, but just bear with me because it all works out in the end. So I'm gonna go in, do right here, because I have such bad pores there. I'm just gonna kind of do that. This is with the light color, and then I'm gonna go in with the thicker end with the dark color and just go over it a little bit, just so it's not too light. The thing with this palette is you really have to mix the colors to get what you want for your skin. So I don't know if you could tell, if you could see, that kind of blended in a little better. And it goes on really smooth. I really like this stuff, and I like that you can have control and you can mix the colors. I get a lot of redness by my nose. It's covering up pretty good. I'm very happy with it, unlike my neighbors. Okay, so now I'm gonna go under my eyes. And that I'm gonna kind of blend the two colors and just see what happens. I can always make it darker, which I think I have to make it a little darker. The next story is that one morning I wake up and I hear like an alarm, not a fire alarm, but more like a clock alarm. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And I'm thinking, all right, someone's alarm is going off somewhere that doesn't realize it. It was like a Saturday morning, of course. And I said, someone's got their alarm set. I just wanted to fix my eyes a little bit. I noticed there was like a little more blending that had to be done. Okay. So then I'm saying to myself, where is this coming from? So I put my ear to the floor thinking, is it them? But I said, no, they wouldn't set an alarm because they have to shut it off, and they can't shut off things on Saturdays. Before I go on, after you do that, you then go in with these blenders, which is like a powder. Again, I mix two shades, and I use this brush, which I love. And what I do is I use this flat end brush to go like that with it. And it gives me such a nice soft finish. So I'm hearing it and I'm like, where the freak is that coming from? Look around, look around. I go outside and I realize there's an alarm clock on my porch that's on. And they had put it on, I realized, because they had to go to shul to pray for Saturday. Totally understand. And they were afraid that they wouldn't get up. So they set it thinking, oh, someone will just come over and they'll shut it off. Well, meanwhile, the whole neighborhood, how did they not hear it? How are these people? Oh, I didn't really put the perfectors on my neck. I just used the powder on my neck. I don't really have that much to cover up. So I just do that. I don't think it looks bad. Just to blend it in. I try not to use too much product on my neck because I have a very crepey neck and I'm sweating. I have a crepey neck, so I don't really put that much on. I said to myself, well, that person who's going to shut it off is going to be me. But instead of shutting it off, I was so mad. I took it and I shut it off, because I didn't want the whole neighborhood to be woken up. And then I took the clock and I threw it into the stadium. I think I had a right to do that. What would you do? After all the stuff I went through, they wanted to have this alarm clock just go on all day. And I don't know who I was more mad at. My downstairs neighbors were doing it, or the neighbors around me who just didn't think, like, there's a clock going off on this porch. So let's do something. Whatever. Okay, so now that I did that, I'm going to curl my lashes with my favorite eyelash curler, which is from Shiseido. And I'm going to have to do that with this. So yeah, at this point, sorry, I don't know where it cut off. I only have 20 minutes of filming time with this camera. Not the battery, but just like it only does 20 to 30 minutes at a time. I think it's 30. So it cut off. I'm not sure it cut off. You know, at this point, I'm ready to move. I just couldn't take it anymore. Like, I was really, like, my husband and I, not fought, not like major fighting, but like, you know, we would argue about it. And he's like, let's just hang on a little bit. We're saving money. We were really saving money paying the cheap rent. And then I was working in an office in Manhattan making good money, really good money. And we were saving a lot. And at the time, our business really didn't truly take off. So it wasn't like John was making tons and tons of money. Not that we're making tons of money now, you know what I mean. We didn't have the second store yet. We didn't have the home decor as much as we did. We just like basically counted on the nursery as most of our income. And at that time, that, you know, it's seasonal. It's only like 2 times a year where it gets busy. So the gift shop wasn't jumping the way it is now. Anyway, if any of my customers are watching, thank you for making that gift shop what it is today. And now we have that second place. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. So we had what we had. I was making good money. We were banking. I wanted to look. And then I got the news that my mother was sick. She died of cancer. And you know, it was like the last thing on my mind. And then in the meantime, they were planning on moving. They were going to move to Israel. Now they were Israel's problems, and I feel bad for Israel. So I was kind of happy because they were going to move, and at least in the interim, I would have quiet and cleanliness. I'm going to go in with, I can't get my eyebrow right. Let me just fix my eyebrow. Well, I tell the move out story because, of course, they had to leave not without a problem. I feel bad for the landlord because they didn't move on the day they were supposed to move. And I had a feeling that even if they used the security, it wouldn't be enough to cover any damage that they did, because I could only imagine the damage they did. And I'll insert a picture here. This is the son's room. It's not a picture. It's a video of what I did with my stepdaughter. And I don't know. The light fixture was broken. The ceiling was all like crap. It was like someone took a sledgehammer to that room, and all of the rooms were a disaster. They did not take care of anything. And it was such a shame because it was such a beautiful house. It was built, I don't know, in the early 1900s, and it had like so many rooms. It was gigantic. The backyard, they had like a solarium room. It was just a beautiful, beautiful house. Since it's been bought and turned into basically looks like a mausoleum, the guy who bought it like totally demolished it and rebuilt it. I'll insert before and after pictures here. But you know, I really love living there. But again, let me tell the story about when right before they moved out, I guess the last day they were supposed to be there at like 2 a.m, there was loud banging like I've never heard before. So finally my husband, of all people, was like, I had it. Because I think deep down inside, he felt the way I did, and he just didn't want to panic me before I tell the story. I am going in with the Buxom Mascara. I really like this stuff. Cruelty-free, all that stuff. Because WOOSH doesn't make mascara. Maybe they will. So yeah, I mean, it's 2 a.m. So he opens that door that goes into their house, because at this point I don't think he goes, and he's like, what the f going on? It was the daughter and the mother, and they're like, oh, we're just moving some last minute stuff. He's like, at 2 a.m. The mother didn't work, and the daughter was like, I don't know, she was visiting or off from school, because I don't even think she lived there anymore. And I was just like, 2 a.m. This is when these people did things, and loudly. So even on the last day, they were so inconsiderate. Shocking. I don't know, I'm having issues with my eyebrow. Some days I just can't get my eyebrows right. Do you have that problem? Let me know in the comments below. I'm just like a hot mess here. And I'm complaining about other people. I got nerve. And then, after they moved out, of course they reared their ugly head. One day, I come home from work, and there's the mother on the porch in the chair that they left. I guess they left like this. It was kind of like one of those, you know, outdoor chairs that kind of recline. Folks, I don't think my eyebrows are coming out that good. And I don't know why I can't get them right. Just, I don't know. You know, I'm going to watch back and edit this and hate it. Say, what was I thinking? Okay, let me move on. So there she was. And now, actually, folks, I'm going to go in with the blush. There's two blushes. I like to mix them. Before I go any further, they do have these contours, but I'm really not going to use them. I only use them for like special occasions or if I'm taking photographs, but the contours are freaking amazing. I could show you just like a little bit. So I could do it like on my nose a little bit. I mean, it doesn't make that much of a difference. I'm not a big contour girl. So for me, it's not like, you know, it's very, very special occasion. And the only place I really use it is my nose because I feel like my nose on the end is so bulbous. As I've gotten older, my nose has gotten bigger. Let me know if that happened to you in the comments below. It's like the weirdest thing, but I don't know if that really makes any difference for me. I didn't even do it straight, but it's not my thing. But if it's your thing, these are great. So anyway, there she was, sitting on the porch, resting. I think she had like a glass of lemonade in her hand or something. Who knows? Probably liquor. And she's just chilling. And I'm looking at her. And I go, hi. She's like, oh, hi. Like nothing. Like nothing. And I'm like, what? Everything okay? You forget anything? And I know she didn't because I was down there. And she's like, yeah, I'm just reminiscing. I'm reminiscing. I felt like saying, wherever you move, they can't deal with your ass now? So you know how good you had it with me? Please. I was just like, oh, this is a good way to end. And then that was it. And now I'm going to go in with the highlighter. Do a little here, a little there. That's what I do. Gosh, I hope this isn't a disaster of a video. Like my eyebrows. You know, actually, my eyebrows have been growing a lot because I've been using castor oil on them. That's probably why. Like, they're getting, like, a little too much. I probably have to, like, fix them a little bit. But what eyebrow product do you use that I might not have a problem with? Let me know in the comments below. God, this video is going to be too long. So let me do my lips now. And while WOOSH makes fabulous glosses, they don't make lip liners yet. Maybe they will. So I am going to go in with this e.l.f. lip liner. It's a new one I got. I love this color. I'll link it below. And you can see the color. And I kind of mush my lips together. You can put a color, like some people do with just the gloss. If I was below 45, I'd probably just do the gloss, but I like to put a lipstick, and this is another shade from a company called, I've reviewed it before, PYT. So I'm just gonna put like a drop, just something for the gloss to adhere to a little better, because I got me some old lips. I really like this color. It's like a muted pink. It's like a, not muted, like a mauve pink, but it's not too gray. I don't like when they're too gray. But look at what a nice color that is. It's nice for the summer, right? So this is my look. And that was my story. Not digging the eyebrows, but I don't think it looks too bad. And most of it was done with this WOOSH kit. Great for travel, great quality, great colors. I think mine is, oh, I have to insert it, I forget. Medium tan or medium? I don't know, 2.5 medium. I'll put it in the description box. But that's the one I use. They have a couple of ones for every shade. It's a nice summery look. You know, if you want to zhuzh it up a little bit, sometimes you could take the highlighter and you can just put in the middle of your lips to give a little frost to your gloss. Frost to your gloss. I made up something. Oh, I'm delirious. Or I might even take the highlighter and put it on my lid to make it sparkle a little more, even on my brow bone. You can do that. It's very subtle, but gives you a little pizzazz for the summer. Okay, anyway, everything will be linked in the description box below. I hope you like my story. If you like videos like this, I could do more because I've got a lot of stories. I'm an old lady. I'm gonna be 55 in September, so I got a lot of stuff, a lot of stories I could tell you. Boy, like, comment, subscribe, do all those fun things. Put some makeup on, and remember, if you have a crazy neighbor, we've been through it. It's not forever, and I hope that they didn't watch this.